Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of the Nerd Herders. I'm Nick.
I'm Rich.
And we're from the Over a Beer channel. This is episode 3. You know what we do by this point, but if you don't, let's just walk you through it a little bit. We're a show that's about all things kind of
Pop culture,
geek stuff. Movies, video games, comics, whatever it is, we're going to talk about it. So we got some good stuff today. First, of course, we are the Over a Beer channel, so we do have beer this week.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell the people what we're drinking?
Sure. Today we are drinking the Left Hand Oktoberfest from Left Handed Brewing.
Cool.
We have not tasted this yet, so let's see how it is.
Yeah.
Cheers. I really like that.
That's good.
That's good. That is a very good Oktoberfest. You can find this in any liquor store, probably. ABC is where I got this. Probably Total Wine, your local store you can get this at.
It's got a pretty sweet, like, tiger thing. It kind of looks like the thing from Kung Fu Panda, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so you got that, and what doesn't say Halloween,
Like a white angry
like
tiger.
an angry lion monster. Alright, so, what do we have in store for this week? Why don't we start off with the news?
Sure. All right. Like always, we have our top 5 news stories. If you haven't noticed already, we are jumping back and forth between who is doing the news. This week is my turn. So first piece of news I have, recently it showed up that Phil Lord and Chris Miller are going to be developing a show for the Serial podcast. Have you heard of this?
I have heard of this.
Essentially, it's going to be about them making the podcast, which will be about a different crime. Like, it's not going to be about the same crime that came out a year ago, or the same story, but the whole idea of the show is, from what the reports have been, to be about them making the podcast while the podcast follows the story and does all that stuff.
Right, but it's going to be like a fictionalized version, I think.
Is it?
I think that's what I read.
I thought it was supposed to just be...
I think they're shopping it to networks as being like a fictional version based on the making of Serial.
Okay.
We also recently found out, not to sidetrack, but first of all, some people might not know what Serial is.
It's true.
Which seems impossible at this point, but
Yeah.
literally I just had a conversation last week because this news broke. I was like talking to a coworker and I was like, hey, you listen to Serial, right? And they're like, what's Serial? And I was like, what do you mean, what's Serial? It was such a big thing.
Yeah.
But it was this huge podcast about a year ago now.
Yeah, it was a spin-off of This American Life.
This American Life, yep. And it basically was, they were trying to uncover whether or not this guy had been away for like 10 years in high school, whether or not he had killed his girlfriend. And there was a lot of, the trial was mishandled and the evidence really might not have been there, and so they investigated, and it was a fascinating 12-episode arc.
Oh my god.
And I mean, it was just like, I couldn't stop listening to it.
Well, I remember when I came to work at the time, like you were talking about it, a couple of people were talking about it, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll give it a try, and the next thing I knew, it was like 5 episodes in, and I'm like, I can't.
It's addicting.
Yeah.
So a few weeks ago, we found out what season 2 is going to be about, which is it's going to be involved with the whole Benghazi thing, and we found out that Mark Bowl, the writer of Zero Dark 30 and Hurt Locker, he's been developing a script with Catherine Bigelow, the director of those movies, about Benghazi, and he is heavily involved. He's going to be 100% part of season 2 of Serial, but Catherine Bigelow has nothing to do with it. So it's like spawning out of the development of that movie, which is going to happen eventually. But, so that's all interesting. But this show, whatever it ends up becoming, whether it's like a documentary type show or whether or not it's fictional, it's kind of unclear. But we know that Phil Lord and Chris Miller are involved.
And they're doing it with the company they did Last Man on Earth with.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely, Serial is definitely one of those podcasts that I think got people to listen to podcasts that maybe wouldn't have normally.
Yeah.
And it definitely opened up a lot of things there. It was a fascinating story. And kind of, to me, what was the most fascinating part about it wasn't really about the mystery of did he or didn't he. It was kind of like, for me, it was like the way they presented it.
Yeah.
That was so fascinating. I'm excited about this, for sure.
Definitely, I'm definitely interested in it.
Yeah, and we should mention it. Sarah Koenig, right, is who actually did Serial.
Yeah.
So.
Now for piece of news that I'm a little less enthusiastic about.
Okay.
There was a report that over the next 10 years, we are going to get 4 more Transformers sequels.
Yes.
Transformers
6, 7, 8, and 9.
5, 6, 7, and 8.
Right, 5,
Since
6, 7,
4
8.
was the last one.
All right. Who can keep track of those
I know.
fucking movies?
Thoughts?
Plus an animated movie, right? Are we getting an
Yeah, I
animated
think so. I think
Transformers
there's some
movie
game
too?
that just came out too.
There's a game. And then there was still talks, right, about a female spin-off of Transformers, which...
The robots.
I mean, I guess that's where we put the gas in the in the ignition thing. No, I don't want this. I haven't even seen the 4th Transformers movie. And I'm somebody who, and Michael Bay, we should say, is coming back for the 5th one, at the least. That's confirmed.
Well, he's coming back, but they haven't said in what capacity yet. I just saw when I was looking this up, I saw some tweet. It may have been confirmed since then. But he was like, oh, I'm not officially directing yet or something. That he tweeted something about that. But I'm sure he'll be back.
I was a huge fan of the first movie.
Really?
I was a big fan of Transformers as a kid, and specifically Transformers, yes, Beast Wars, 100%. That was all about Beast Wars in elementary school. Had all the toys. So when the Transformers movie came out, and this is, this was when, at least at that time, it was like I was at the right age to still like Shia LaBeouf. He hadn't been in Crystal Skull yet. I just knew him like growing up watching like Even Stevens and stuff like that. And Spielberg was producing. I loved I still enjoy Michael Bay, the good stuff. Like Bad Boys too. I love that movie. But I loved the first Transformers, and then the second one was. I hated the second one.
The second one's
incomprehensible action and just awful. Everything that was bad in the first one just escalated. And then the third one, I just was, I thought that the end was a huge spectacle. The whole fight in Chicago, it was amazingly, staged, and we'd never really seen anything like that, honestly, in film. It was kind of amazing. But then even that they sort of ruined with the guy who does the voice of SpongeBob doing robots and stuff and sounding just like SpongeBob and all that racial humor. And
I like the third one. I genuinely like the first one. I was kind of just okay with. It was fine. I hate the second one. But I remember, maybe it was just because my expectations were so low when I saw it, but a buddy of mine went to go see it, and we kind of just begrudgingly, he had free tickets or something to go see it in IMAX. And so we're like, okay, well, we're going to go. And 45 minutes in, we kind of looked at each other and we're having, I'm enjoying myself. This is weird. Are you enjoying yourself? Because this is, the jokes kind of hit for the most part. They tone down some of the terrible parent stuff. And
the third one is all the stuff with Malkovich, right? Malkovich is in that one.
I think so, yeah.
Shia LaBeouf goes to work for Malkovich. And there was some okay stuff. For me, really, that movie was all about the end. About that last
45 minutes
in Chicago. Tyrese running around making wisecracks, and I was all about that movie. That part of that movie. But the 4th movie, just something, I'm just done with it. Because they even added, they got rid of Shia LaBeouf. They added Mark Wahlberg, who I really like. I like Wahlberg in almost anything. And I still couldn't get in. I couldn't bother. I'm not gonna, and I'm telling you, the next 10 years they can make all the Transformers movies they want. I'm not gonna go.
4 is better than 2, and I think it's better than 1.
Not gonna say.
But
I know.
No, I mean, I agree. I agree with you. I don't blame you. I don't need 4 more of these movies in the same years. But at the same time, I don't know if I'd want them rebooted either. I don't know. They just need to go away for those 10 years. They should go away.
And it's not gonna.
And work on a really good script.
But what's the point? What are they going to try and win Oscars? That's never going to happen.
No, but
even the 4th movie still made $1 billion. There's no reason for them to stop making it. It is, the thing that I love quoting is the old quote: "It's show business, not show."
Yeah.
It is a business. I totally understand it if they want to keep making it, if it's getting other things funded. Like even Michael Bay in between the movies, now he's done Pain Again, he just finished, which I liked. He did, he just finished, 13 Hours, which is coming out in like January, which is like a Iraq war movie with like Jim from The Office. We'll see how that goes. But, you know, I like that he is doing other smaller things. It really seemed like a waste where it was that 3-year period where he just made Transformers 1, 2, and 3. That was a waste of him, because people can make fun of him all he wants, but I think that he has it in him to make entertaining movies. And when it comes to the visuals, there's almost no other, there's definitely no other director making A-list action movies like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, if he ends up making these next 10,000 Transformers movies, I'll be disappointed, I'm not gonna lie. Especially with the recent rumors of Bad Boys 3 happening, but maybe without him. That's disappointing.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, apparently the rumor is Joe Carnahan, director of, you know, Narc and the A-Team and The Grey. So good movies.
Yeah.
But if Michael Bay can't make 3 Bad Boys movies, or he can make 1,000 Transformers movies, that's disappointing to me. But stay tuned. There might be way more Transformers movies in the future. Let us know what you think of that.
10 years of Transformers movies.
Jesus.
Next bit of news I have here. We're heading over to Marvel now. They're in talks for finally a director for the new Thor movie, Thor Ragnarok. From Flight of the Conchords right now, I'm going to butcher his name, Taika Waititi. That's
Tidy white titties.
Yeah, something. No, but I mean, he's from Flight of the Conchords. He just did What We Do in the Shadows. He co-directed and starred in that, which I loved.
Have not seen. No. Big Flight of the Conchords fan.
Okay. It's interesting. They're going for more comedic directors here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wonder if it's going to be like, okay, well, you're going to come in and you're just going to do the Thor movie the way we want you to do the Thor. Like, are they going to give him his voice, or are they going to sort of just, well, you're just a...
Here's the thing with, like, these huge Hollywood movies. Like, all right, like you said, they're bringing in another comedy guy. I mean, for the most part, you have... I mean, even going back to Favreau. I mean, Favreau was a comedic guy, right? Joss Whedon, his earliest roots were writing for Roseanne. He started off in comedy. He obviously became something else. But then we have the Russo brothers. Started, true. Community and stuff like that. It is kind of what they pull from, and I think part of why they pull from it is because they're bringing those guys to add something to all the scenes that aren't action. Because yes, obviously they're on set for the action stuff, but there are ADs and action coordinators and everything else that are really in charge of all that stuff. And I think that they're trying to bring in these interesting filmmakers to kind of capture the other stuff that works so well in the Marvel movies, which is the humor. Honestly, I think that's why Marvel movies are so, I mean, let's face it, way more popular than the DC movies. It's because
they're more fun.
Yeah, they're popcorn movies.
Yeah.
But I think that that's also kind of what has prevented them from kind of taking that leap from being movies that I really, 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 really like to movies that I love. Because they aren't as serious as they could be.
Yeah.
The stakes don't ever feel as real. Maybe not even as like DC movies, like kind of like the Dark. I mean, I will always take the Dark Knight trilogy over any Marvel movie as much as I love them, because there was more there. There was a sense of realism that I think that we don't get. And I would imagine, you know, he could be great. What We Do in the Shadows is supposed to be awesome.
I think it's great. I love it.
But, you know, I think that they probably want to capture a bit more of what was in that first Thor movie. There's a lot of humor in the first Thor movie. And Thor 2, whatever. Dark World. That didn't have as much of that. It had a little bit of it, but I think that they want to get a little bit more of that comedic sensibility probably back into the story, because that's what people connect to. And it all goes back to Downey Jr. being quippy and Favreau being at the helm of that one. Interesting choice, though.
Yeah.
I'm not disappointed with it.
No, I'm. It's interesting. It's certainly an interesting choice. I'm excited for him. I think he's great. Something like this could get him more mainstream, because What We Do in the Shadows is big, but it really never got like into the forefront of the mainstream
No,
audiences
yeah,
and
not
things
at
like
all.
that. I mean, it started to, and then it kind of just.
It will definitely open up at least financial opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, all the Marvel movies really they really all have sort of jettisoned these people into another phase of their career. I mean, Kenneth Branagh went from really not making much before Thor. You know, obviously he had a great career acting, and he made his Shakespeare, he made Macbeth and stuff.
Yeah.
But as a director, to, you know, making the Jack Ryan movie, which kind of sucks, but then he made Cinderella, which made a ton of money, and now he can kind of do whatever he wants. Doesn't happen without Thor. Look at Favreau after Iron Man. Look at even Alan Taylor after that second Thor movie, which isn't that great, has gotten to do. He did a Terminator movie, and it's a bit high profile.
I mean, James Gunn, he came from
Yeah.
low budget. I mean, I loved his films
Yeah,
prior, but I
same,
mean,
yeah.
they were kind of B movies, low budget, and now he's huge. I mean, everybody is just
Yeah, and same
all
thing
over
with
him.
Joss Whedon. I'm sure now that he's moved away from Marvel, will be able to make whatever he wants to make.
Yeah.
Whether or not that ends up being a Star Wars movie of some sort, or that ends up being something entirely original, he's going to be able to do whatever he wants because he made 2 Avengers movies. And that's cool, because you don't always see that with franchises. You know, look at like all those directors who made those Twilight movies. What did they get to do after? Nothing.
Yeah.
Like, none of them. None of them got to jump from that to anything.
Well, I remember, you know, when the first one came out, and they were like, "Oh, it's the highest grossing film from any female filmmaker," or something like that.
And she made the Red Riding Hood with Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah.
Yay. Chris Weitz, who did, I think, the 3rd Twilight movie or whatever, like, he ended up.
I was hoping to get more from. He came from like Hard Candy and like all those other stuff. I was like, wow, okay, this is.
Yeah, that's not him, but
no,
that's
the guy who.
The other guy. Yeah, right.
I was like, wow, this is gonna open doors. We're gonna get to see more of him because I liked his previous work, and he just kind of.
No, he ended up. I mean, he ended up directing a lot of episodes of Hannibal.
Yeah.
But you know, probably not what he wanted to do. So my point is, the Marvel movies really open up a lot of opportunities. So whether that's for him, there's been some other rumors about Marvel directors. I don't know if it's something you're going to bring up.
That is actually going to be my next topic.
Transition into that?
Transition. We mentioned him last week, actually, too. F. Gary Gray has rumored now to do 2 different movies. It's rumored that he's going to do Fast 8 or Furious 8, whatever they're going to call it. I just saw a still for it says the Furious 8. I don't know. And he's also in talks to direct Black Panther. 2 very totally different movies from coming off of Straight Outta Compton, which I'm kind of surprised he would necessarily go in this direction after that.
Last week I talked about how I was really happy for F. Gary Gray. I've loved F. Gary Gray. Sort of as an in-joke, also sort of serious. It goes in and out on him. Like, I love Friday, which is one of his earliest movies. Hilarious movie with Ice Cube and Chris Tucker. If you've never seen it, watch it. From the early 90s. But he's had a weird career, F. Gary Gray. It's really up and down. I mean, that was kind of a peak, and then like he's got some other movies in there, like The Negotiator, that I like, but it's not great, with Kevin Spacey, Sam Jackson. Some other, his biggest movie before Straight Outta Compton recently was that movie with Gerard Butler and Jamie Foxx.
Oh, Law Abiding Citizen.
Law Abiding Citizen, and even that was really rough. I mean, that's what he was making. He was making like Law Abiding Citizens, right? And then Straight Outta Compton comes out of nowhere. This great, you know, as you said, biopic that might get awards talk, and now he's back up in the A-list. And part of me is like, way to go, F. Gary Gray. You might get to direct a Black Panther movie, which will be huge. I mean, Black Panther.
I mean, either of these are going to be huge.
Well, I just mean it'll be huge for him because it's really going to be the first mainstream African American superhero, first mainstream superhero of color of any kind that we've seen that wasn't a white guy, really. And that's huge, and that's a big opportunity for. I think that's why we saw the Ava DuVernay. Is that how it's
the director of Selma.
The director of Selma. Why she was interested in doing this Black Panther movie, because it is a big opportunity for somebody to be the first person to do that.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, if it fails, it's also a big risk because then that could be it for.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, we took a chance on Black Panther,
Yeah,
and
so now you get white guys for the rest of forever, and Transformers too.
we get the white tigers from the Oktoberfest.
I
instead.
hope so. I'd watch them in a movie, but so on one hand, I'm really excited for that. I'm like, I would be fine with him stepping in for the Fast franchise,
Yeah.
but I'm also kind of like, you know what? Maybe you show that you have more in you, and maybe you'd be better served making a more serious movie. What is your thought on?
Well, I mean, like, I feel like after Straight Outta Compton, he could essentially do whatever he wants. I mean, it's one of those movies where you come off of, it's huge. I think it's very easily going to get nominated for stuff, and he kind of has the door open to him. I mean,
yeah.
Critically, that movie's doing really well. I mean, it did really well. Financially, it did really well, and he could kind of go his own way and make something maybe that was a little more personal to him, as opposed to going, okay, I'm going to take over for this franchise or this franchise.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he could do that, and maybe that's what he did. Maybe that's what Straight Outta Compton was for him.
This is him getting back to something
from a studio standpoint. Black Panther will or won't make money no matter what. It's either going to be a hit or it's not going to be a hit, and it's not going to be because of F. Gary Gray. You could say the same thing about Fast 8, but I think that it would mean more to an audience to know that, like, if they put in the trailer that the next Fast and Furious movie is also from the guy who made Straight Outta Compton, I think that will mean more to driving more people into the seats just because of the demographic, you know?
I could see that.
Then I think it will the other way around, because also I don't think that Marvel would ever do that in their trailer. You know, I don't think it's Disney, it's Marvel. They're never going to be like, from F. Gary Gray.
Well, like, they never have any other stuff. It's like from the director. They didn't say Guardians of the Galaxy from the director of.
They didn't say
Slither.
Age of Ultron from Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
You know, they don't.
It's when you see a Marvel trailer, it's about Marvel. It's about the brand as a whole.
Yeah, the Marvel.
Not necessarily the people behind it.
But I could totally see them doing that with Fast 8, because I think that Straight Outta Compton connected with a very similar audience.
That's fair.
And I think I would like to see him do. Mainly, I have confidence that Marvel and Kevin Feige will make sure that movie's good. More confidence than I will the other people that are on the short list for making Fast and Furious 8.
Yeah.
If it's not F. Gary Gray and it ends up being, I think the short list right now is Louis Leterrier, or whatever, the guy who made Incredible Hulk, and he made Clash of the Titans. I don't have faith in him. I don't have faith in. There was somebody else, and then there's your next guy is the other guy.
He was on it, and then the original director from the first one was on.
Right, Rob Cohen. Forget that. Like, it better be. If it's down to them, I want F. Gary Gray. But we'll see. It's awesome that he's getting these opportunities for sure.
Well, final piece of news, and this is, I'm cheating a little bit on this one.
Okay.
He's been in the news.
Is it not news?
A little bit.
Donald Trump?
It's all news. No, it's not Donald Trump. Although, considering what we're about to talk about, that would actually be kind of amusing if it was Donald Trump.
Okay.
He's also kind of a director who could probably do whatever he wants within reason right now. George Miller has been in the news quite a bit. So I kind of took all three stories recently and just kind of rolled it into one topic.
Right. Top 8 this week.
Yeah. So, recently reported that, I'm just going to kind of lay it all out there, we can just discuss it and unpack it as we go.
Cool.
2 sequels are being worked on at Warner Brothers for Mad Max Fury Road. He turned down doing a live-action Akira, and he also, I saw an article today that he is open to the idea of spin-offs, in the same way of, like, how Star Wars is having, like, Rebel One and things like that. He would be open to the idea of other people doing spin-off movies in the Mad Max universe.
Okay.
Thoughts?
I didn't know about that last part.
Okay.
Totally awesome that there's more Mad Max movies
Yeah.
in development, right? That he's already thinking about 2 more sequels to Fury Road, because Fury Road was amazing. People haven't heard our thoughts on that movie yet.
Need to see Fury Road.
It's great. It's fantastic. It's one of the best movies of the year, if not the best movie of the year.
Right now it's probably my top for the year.
It's in my top 3
Yeah.
easily. But it's great that he's already thinking about that, because while I think he was thinking about Fury Road well before we were actually able to see it. At the same
Mm.
time, it still was like 30 years after the last one.
Well, the report he
So-
mentioned with the two sequels, he's like, oh yeah, it took us 10 years to get Fury Road made because it was. He had said that he was trying to do it with Mel Gibson, and then 9/11 happened, and then
Right.
2 other things happened along the way, and over those 10 years, he developed these other scripts
Okay.
and ideas. He said it's already in the works. The one article I read had mentioned he's like, I kind of want to do something that's a little less of a spectacle, less special effects, less stunts, because he had mentioned it's like 8 months out in the desert doing this and doing stunts. And I mean, he's an older guy. Like, he's not.
Yeah.
Um,
Did
But-
he give any update on Happy Feet 3?
he did not. Happy Feet 3 was not mentioned in the article.
Okay.
Which is still a weird conversation that we're having with Mad Max Fury Road and Happy Feet.
Hey, you know, that's
Hey.
what he did.
Yeah.
For those, he made those movies.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about more. I want to
Mhm.
see more. I want to see it continue to up to, like, I don't know about up the ante, but to change visually in a way.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want the exact same thing.
No,
again.
and they've never really been.
No,
the
they
same. Like,
haven't.
from every Mad Max, even you can compare Fury Road to Road Warrior, and they're still very different films.
Very different.
So I would like to definitely see more, but as long as they continue to change it, and if you know Tom Hardy signed on for 3 more, there was talk of a Furiosa spinoff, but Charlize Theron's not signed on for anything else, and they would have to work a deal out with her.
I'm sure she would.
I don't know if I would want. I want another one with her, but I don't know what they would do. I feel like her character arc is done. I mean, it completed it. I don't know if I would want another movie with the 2 of them in it together, just because that would kind of betray sort of what the series has been.
One of the great stories about the behind the scenes of Fury Road is one of the great rumors is
Mhm.
that Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy did not get along at all.
Oh, really?
Huge friction. So I don't think we'll see that.
Hmm.
I don't think we'll see a movie with them together again, especially since, like you said, she's not under contract. Apparently it was volatile. Now maybe that gets worked out.
Hmm.
Maybe the success of the movie and the
When there's money
success-
involved, they're like, oh yeah, well,
money, and also they're both people that
They're-
are
they're professionals.
professionals, and Charlize Theron is an Oscar winner.
Yeah.
I think that seeing the critical response to the movie, in addition, can cure a lot of things along with the money.
Hmm.
But whether or not we got a spin-off, but that kind of leads me to the last thing you said. It's the first I heard about it, that he's open to other people making spin-offs within that world, that universe. I don't know if I want that. I think that what he has done with the now 4 Mad Max movies, I feel like, I was ready for other people to make Star Wars movies,
Mhm.
right? I'm down for more Middle-earth stories, but I'm ready for Peter Jackson to be out of that world.
Mhm.
There's a lot of franchises like that. Like, I love Joss Whedon, I like Age of Ultron, I love the first Avengers, but I'm ready for somebody new to make an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for someone new to make a Mad Max movie, because the most recent example is one of my favorite movies of all time.
No, I agree.
And I don't know if anyone else would capture that world in a way that would interest me in the same way. And if it's not a Mad Max movie from him, I don't know if I necessarily care about seeing a story in that world. Like, it's just going to be somebody lampooning him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. In the article for that one, he'd mentioned there was the one name that he specifically came out and said would be somebody like Guillermo del Toro, which would be an interesting choice for something like that. And he's like, I have 3 other people in mind, but I don't want to name them.
But he was okay naming it.
But he named Del Toro.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know how that would work, because I mean that again, similar to how if you were to bring him and Furiosa back together, that sort of betrays what the Mad Max movies are about, and I don't know if the worlds are quite as interesting without him in it. I mean, they're never really his story, but I don't know if it's quite as
I mean,
interesting
it would be
having
interesting
him
to
tell.
see a new trilogy with, like, a different visionary director in each installment. Like, he does the last one or something, Miller, and then it's like Guillermo del Toro and,
Somebody.
Inarritu, or
Yeah.
somebody like that. Or, like, it would be cool if it was one movie in different segments, and somebody directed the Furiosa part, somebody directed the Mad Max
Yeah.
part, and somebody directed whatever, the villain in
Mm.
the middle or something. That would be really cool. Those different styles, like, I would be down for something like that. To go back to Star Wars, like, it was always interesting. The original plan for the prequels was George Lucas was going to direct episode 1. Ron Howard was going to direct episode 2.
I didn't realize
and
that.
Steven Spielberg was going to do 3. And then at some point along the line, George Lucas decided, like he's talked about it, he decided to do them all. And it would have been interesting to see what that would have been. Like,
Yeah.
What would a Steven Spielberg Star Wars movie, like that was what he wanted. What would that have been?
Mm.
We'll never know. Maybe J.J. Abrams is going to be the closest to what a Spielberg movie would have been. But I would like to see that with Mad Max if it was like that.
Mm.
If it was like not a separate story, but like somehow connected to his overall vision, and it was
Yeah.
other people taking their own spin on it. That'd be something interesting, maybe.
I agree, because that's one of the things about those movies is it's very much Miller. I don't know if without him, if you could even connect it well enough to that world to stand up to it.
Yeah, I just don't know. What I do know is it's exciting that, honestly, you know, I never thought, as a kid watching Road Warrior, I never thought that we were going to get another Mad Max movie. That came out of nowhere, Fury Road. And now the fact that we've been talking about already being in a position to get even more,
I mean,
that's cool. We now live in a world where we got Fury Road, we got a fucking Mad Max video game,
Yeah.
and now we might get more Mad Max movies than spin-offs. Like,
This is a franchise that should not be continued. Fury Road should not exist. By all rules and standards of movie making, and the way the industry is, this movie should not exist. And yet, here it is.
it's just another example that we live in an amazing time to like the sort of things that we like.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, all the things that we get now, like new Star Trek movies, new Star Wars movies, new superhero movies, new this, new that, Mad Max. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy the time that we live in. But you know, do you want more Mad Max movies? Do you want Mad Max movies? I mean, if you don't, you're crazy. If you don't, you haven't seen Fury Road, basically. But let us know. Let us know what you think in the comments. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, very.
Cool.
I think it's going to wrap it up for the news.
Yeah.